Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. It's been a hot minute. So I had to update my OBS and all of that jazz, and I've jazzed up the layout a little. So please let me know how the audio mixing is, if my voice is too loud, or the music is or isn't. Any combination of that. How are we all doing? Hopefully good, hopefully well. Just making sure everything is set up nice. I was doing a lot of mic adjusting and I wanted to save your poor eardrums. I'm a little quiet, okay. Not a lot else I can do. I'm pretty high up. Let me check the gain on my microphone. You might need to turn me up a little bit. Let me look at my input settings. See if I can crank it up. No, You were talking, I didn't hear at all. Oh geez, I'm that quiet. I'm showing up as so much louder on my OBS. I'm showing as like right up there. How about now? How's that feeling? We are high up on the decibel cap and I'm on like 90% input sensitivity, so I don't... It's fine now? Oh, amazing. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We'd love to hear it. Beautiful. Yeah, not much else I can do, unfortunately. It's quite high. That's so odd. A bit better. I'll take a bit better. Is it really that bad still? Anyway, you let me know as we go along. Look at our beautiful boy. Yeah, I was working on a little sketch of Wynn, and then I thought, well, I haven't streamed in a little while, so just a little cozy cold weather stream. So I'm just having a sip of my drink. So yeah, we're just gonna do a bit of drawing. Oh, for goodness sake, it looks like my free page that I was using with DMC free stuff is, in fact, riddled with ads. So let's change that real quick. There we go. Sorted. I'm almost at max volume, to be fair. Happy to chill to a stream. Yeah, for some reason, my Rode mic just is not picking up, which is very odd. Odd, odd, odd. Especially because of how low I've got like the desktop audio. I'm really surprised by that. Maybe it's to do with my Rode mic settings. Honestly, what am I like? Let's look at the properties real quick, see if I can make it a little nicer. How's that? Any better? I'm not hearing it's worse, so we'll take it. Right, so I kind of did a bit of like a shirt idea here. And then I started getting a bit confused on the face, so sometimes I like to add... I kept adding more and more shading and I had to stop myself. I was like, do it on stream, do it on stream. But sometimes when I get a bit lost in what to do with a face, I just like to like start the shading, because sometimes I just lose sight of the values. I don't know. I can hear you just signed, says Lovecraft. Well, amazing. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. Right. So, yeah, just kind of trying to nail down Wynn and his look and just vibe a little bit. Hopefully everyone's week has been treating them well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the classic, duplicate everything just in case I mess it up. Because knowing me, I will. I think I'll just move that over. I think like, he's not meant to be like super thin, but I am trying to give him that like a guy who definitely doesn't get a ton of sunlight, you know. He's an academic, he doesn't get out a lot, he's gonna get sunburnt so badly when he's on the boat. Hide that for now. He's meant to have curlier hair than this. I was using a reference image to do like the neck and hairline. And now it's looking a little worse for wear. Or certainly not how I envisioned, you know. Has anyone been playing anything good recently? I always like to hear what people are up to. Just making sure I've got the pressure sensitivity I like. Right off the bat, his nose is a little wonky, so I might... Yeah. I think also I've done a lot of these construction lines which were very helpful when I was laying down some, like, shade. But I think if you add too many, they can make your character start to look a little maybe older than you intend. Just getting a feel for it here. Yeah, it's that kind of shape, and then like... I kind of picked a very awkward angle because it's like not quite 3/4. And now I'm regretting it. But you can see kind of more the curly hair I was envisioning on the top. And then down here I just kind of started scribbling, so... I think the hair could also hide a multitude of sins from this angle. And I'm trying not to be too precious about it, which is hard because I've just been doing some rather clean line art stuff recently. So it's probably good for me to turn off part of my brain. And I think after, maybe not today, because this is not going to be like a super long stream today, but I will also be hopefully drawing Yosef, who was introduced properly in the chapter I posted earlier today, which is exciting because I kind of had Yosef in my mind since the inception of, you know, the idea of Wayfarer as kind of like a, not even like a foil, but a counterpart for Wynn, who is a crewman, who, unlike the other crewman, is, you know, he's kind of comparable in rank, I suppose. Like, he knows what it's like to be at a certain point in the pecking order. And so it was nice to get a chance to introduce him. I'm doing the hair on a separate layer in case I mess it up. Hi, hello. Hi, Enrique. Hi. Sorry, I just saw your message. Oh, wait, no. I want to keep the hair on this layer. The thing is, like, I'm really not very good at drawing curly hair, which so I wanted to do this. It's not like super curly, but it's like that kind where it gets all unruly and coiled at the ends. I guess wavy is probably a better term for it. I think it's something that, like, you see a lot in AI art where, like, the hair is scribbles that looks alright from a distance, but the second you try and decipher it, it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like a lot of my hair sketches are very similar, where I just kind of do this, and it's like, yeah, that's a braid, and then I actually have to, like, decipher it and turn it into something that feels hair-shaped. To varying degrees of success. I think I'm going to do the dreaded canvas flip as well, because I know his face is leaning a little bit. I think the shading will help fix that perspective issue a little. I saw something very vindicating today about the British cold front. It was someone from Canada being like, dude, your cold hits different, and I felt very vindicated by that. If there's any other British folks around, you'll know it's been very, very cold recently. I think apparently it's something to do with the fact that we have higher moisture content in the air or something. the sketchy scribbles I did are just confusing me. This is why I do it on different layers. I think I'm falling into that trap where you try and stick too much to the sketch instead of actually looking at the drawing as a whole. Maybe like, you know the thing where it's like, this is the actual bit and then there's like, because I'm trying to imply that it's like gathered a little at the back. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Something like that. And then something to break up the composition, like a curl there or something. I don't know. He definitely will get some extra eye bags, I think, though. I want to imply that he's had, like, way too many all-nighters he should not have pulled. He is an academic, after all. Someone said, love to draw that kind of hair to BH, maybe the fact that I don't have ink it. Yeah, moist cold hits different. I've lived in Scotland, like the cold there gets into the bones. However, as weird as this might sound, to a degree that cold was kind of comforting. Yeah, I think it can be a little comforting. It's nice to be certainly in and cozy, but it definitely makes you grateful to have, you know, not everyone has somewhere to go in that kind of weather. So it definitely also makes me very grateful. Ooh. Bit too gung-ho on the I occasionally have to just flick this on to remind myself it's okay. You can fix a lot of it when you when you add colour. It's weird when you need that kind of reassurance. Just erasing some of that underlayer. Just help me clear it up a bit. God, that's a bad habit. Instead of zooming in, I was leaning closer to my screen and shrimp necking it. Let's not get into that habit. I swear I never draw ears exactly the same over, well, not between the two, I just like, as long as it looks good, but I mean sometimes I want to go like proper, you know, whatever it is, and other times I'm like ear. I guess it depends how whimsical I'm feeling that day. Sometimes that works though. I think like the adding of like color and then going back in. I think sometimes we can get too caught up on like the idea of, oh, there's a specific process, so first you must you know, like first you have to do the line art and then you do the color. And actually the beauty of digital art is it can be quite a back and forth iterative process, and I think that's really nice. See what I mean? Like that color is actually doing a lot of the work for the nose. I am gonna get rid of some of this construction shading I did. I kind of left it there to remind myself that I was gonna shade it a certain way, but obviously now it will just muddy up those values. Ooh. Yeah, we can work with that. I'm trying not to be too precious, but there's, if I had a penny for every time I said that, I could just quit and do the channel full time. It's because it's my precious babies. Something that I've even if, you know, obviously, like, you know, we're all trying to slowly grow our skills and stuff like that. Something that has been like a fun challenge is finding ways to write Wynn's anxieties, his kind of internal monologue. He's quite a, you know, he's a character with quite severe anxiety, and I want that to come across, but also, well, it can be relatable. I mean, anyone who has anxiety, I'm sure, can relate. Sometimes it can be very frustrating and annoying. It even annoys yourself. And so there definitely was an element of being like, I don't want to, you know, you want to endear him to people, not frustrate them so much that they're like, I hope Wynn gets eaten by sharks. Sometimes that's easier said than done, I feel. I think the nose is drifted a little bit. That's alright, we can correct it, we have the technology. Just having a sip of my drink. Peak posture. Yeah, I really need to work on my posture, it's bad. Okay. I'm trying to whiz through this so I can get to the bit I'm actually very excited about, which is colouring, because I already lay those colours down earlier, and it turned out, I was actually really pleased with how the colours turned out, even if they need a bit of tweaking. So that is my motivation to try and get this done ASAP. See if I can get some of these like nice swoopies in. There we go. Okay. I'm starting to feel a little better about it. Actually, what I might do for these eyebrows, because I actually really like how I did them before, is just like do a little cheek duplicate of just the eye section, because I quite like how that turned out. It feels like cheating, but it's all my own sketching, so it's not. But sometimes it feels a bit like it. And then I can just like because I don't want it to muddy the colours too much, so I'm going to try and take out a bunch of this colour, even though it's stressing me out. Oh, some of that was from this layer. Okay, I think we're good now. I'm trying to keep those layers down, because they do creep up. Okay, we're merging this all down because I can't be trusted to not over-obsess. There we are. Okay, and then my favorite bit to do, I do it on so many things now because it always seems to work, is adding a little bit of a, I don't even know if this would technically count as ambient occlusion because it's not like a really thin meeting point, but you know, like a shadow under the chin. Something like that. Beautiful. I can live with that. Right, now the dreaded thing where you flip it back. Oh, okay, it's not ruined. That's always a good sign. He's looking a little aged, but that's fine. You know, like, once again, not there's anything wrong with being older, it's just that he's meant to be on the younger side. But I feel like you can always knock that back, but it's nice to have those construction lines in place and see what works and what doesn't. And he's not like young, you know, he's not like a teenager. I'd put him in his early to mid-20s. Who is Wynn Rhos? So Templar John, sorry, I just saw that. He is the main character of a little Golden Bone mini audio series I'm just kind of using as a chance to experiment a bit. He's kind of our protagonist. So I thought it'd be nice to, you know, make sure that he has a nice look going on. I think it's kind of lost a little something, which is a shame. And I think I know exactly what it is. And it's the massive eye bags. He really is born to be a sad Thai boy. Maybe I need to thin his face up a little. Yeah, just a little extra. It would probably help if I was not on my eraser tool, wouldn't it? Trying to work out this little floofy bit. For some reason, this is the bit that's giving me trouble. I do want to get better at drawing hair because I tend to default to just one or two hair types or hairstyles, which I think we all can do, but then you're like, oh no. I want to do something different. You have a vision in your head and you're like, why aren't I good at this immediately? What do you mean I have to practice? I'm using the undersketch to work out if it's the silhouette, if that makes sense. I think it's also because the original sketch had more of like a button nose thing going on, so maybe I need to kind of reintroduce that back in a little more. I think that will add to like the youthful appearance. And maybe remove the filtrum a little bit just because of the angle. I'll do it on this layer because I'm about to reduce the opacity on it. KY2I animation says, reminds me of that whole joke with Shinji and Evangelion being Evangelion being depicted as a severely depressed kid, but usually just gets written off as an annoying kid. Yeah, it's a really hard balance to get, and obviously I'm still kind of very new on my writing journey, so it's okay if I don't nail it this time around, but I figured Wynn would be good practice for that, because he is someone who is going through a lot of anxieties, and as anyone with anxiety I'm sure can relate, sometimes they are contradictory, like you want to do one thing but your anxieties are almost self-sabotaging you. You can change your mind about things quite rapidly, and it can be very frustrating for not just those around you but also yourself. And it's my journey as a writer is learning to try and portray that in a sympathetic way that hopefully isn't going to you don't have to like everything your main character does, but you don't want to like completely, like, a reader doesn't need to love everything that the main character does, but they do need to be interested in their journey. Want to see them succeed or improve. Not always, sometimes I guess you can have like protagonists that you're just interested in that aren't particularly good people and whatnot, but yeah, just trying to find that balance in the writing. And once again, it's I'm not well, I've done some professional writing but not literary stuff. It's been more like for RPGs and stuff like that, which does have a narrative element, but it's not like lots of prose, if you get me. So this has been a fun journey for me as well, and hopefully by the end of Wayfarer I'll be a little more competent. Or not, who knows. I might turn out to, have you seen that thing where it's like, they say everyone's got one novel in them, I don't, and it's like, who knows, maybe that is me. Trying to get some kind of scholarly looking collar on him. I'm determined to get to the colour. I'm determined. It's the only thing keeping me going. little trim going. And then maybe not quite fitted. Get some tension lines going. What are you? Let's get rid of you. And then just little clearing up bits. Okay, now this shoulder. Bum bum bum. Get like a little construction line going there. Then knock that back a little. Yeah, something like that. We can work with this. This is workable. It's just the top that's feeling a little, you see what I mean? Like it used to be a little more tidy. I think it's because this came out from behind his ear. So I'm gonna duplicate and see if it looks any better with, what's the bit I really like? What's the bit I want to kind of keep? I like this. I like this shapy bit. So out of curiosity, just to see what it looks like. Let's have a look. And that's why I love digital art, because you can just duplicate a layer and go nuts. Yeah, just a little flatter. I think same here as well, actually. I think I made him too voluminous. Whatever the word is. I went too close to the sun, gang. What are we gonna do? It's fine. Because what we're gonna do is that. And I'm just going to try and keep it a little more faithful to the silhouette. There we go. And then just come on in and get these bits in. And then I think we're on to colour. Sure, we can work with that. We can work with that, she says, a sweat trickle going down the side of her face. Right. Now, this skin that I did earlier is still pretty rough around the edges. I'm trying not to be precious with this, so I deleted the other ones. But it is workable. So let's... So the one downside of not doing clean line art is you can't, it's a bit harder to kind of fill stuff. That's alright, because I find something quite relaxing about blocking in where the colour's going to go. Kind of lets you mentally prepare. I've not seen the executive producer, aka my cat, and usually when I talk into a microphone, he comes and investigates, so maybe he'll be along in a little bit. He's been particularly snuggly in all this weather. It's a messy way of doing it, but I'm kind of digging some of the natural textures that I think rough line art can really bring out. I've definitely found that in a lot of Golden Bone stuff where I've like kind of let those natural brush textures just kind of, I don't know, yeah, I guess just add texture. Also, please do not go and harass this person, but there was someone who did give me a laugh with so the first episode of Wayfarer, which is the prologue, which is like a folklore story from the world of Golden Bone that was intended to be very Emperor's New Clothes, if you're familiar with that, or like, you know, the perils of being, you know, told you're not wrong and stuff like that, called The Wolf King, and someone thought it was feminine propaganda. They thought I hated men, and that the message of it was that men in power are bad. Which is very interesting. Okay, I'm envisioning him with quite dark hair. I'm wondering if I've made him too pale. Like, he's meant to be quite pale, but I can maybe... think he's going to look pale regardless, just because of, you know, dark hair on pale skin. To a degree, that's always going to have that effect. Alright, and then we alpha lock, so I can go nuts. Oh, no, not the erase tool. Naughty me. Well, I'm not usually a big fan of soft brushes. I do sometimes like to do that when I'm laying down face tones, just so that I can, you know, soften the transition between different sections. I'll like maybe use a softer brush. Here. This is the fun bit, because it's basically like just doing colouring, and I love colouring. Like, I've never personally been big on, I don't know, like the adult colouring book stuff, because it just, I'm not as keen on drawing something, colouring something I didn't draw. It's usually because it's a copyrighted character and I'm like, okay, but I completely get the therapeutic side of it, like why people find it so relaxing. Because I love colouring my drawings. I'm adding like some extra little loose hairs and stuff. Maybe I'll add some more on the outside as well. And then the eyebrows, because I think eyebrows can really change the shape of the face. I was doing another character recently, not for Golden Bone, just something else, and colouring in like just all the features on his face completely changed how it looked. Like, duh, I know that, but like it changed like the facial proportions a lot more than maybe I anticipated. I'm trying to introduce a bit of lighting, because it just feels like his... Well, it's not that the face is even wrong, it looks like, you know, in real life when something is lit from like an unflattering angle. I really, in like recent like very recently got into like, you know, like the coloring thing where you kind of like do this around the nose. I don't know why, just I suddenly really like it. Maybe not that extreme, but you get the gist. Oh, we have a little executive producer. Hello, kitty cat. Look at you go. I'm so proud of you. Hello, kitty cat. He is a sweet boy. Love him very much. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Get loved. Get loved, loser. I don't know, something like that. Just to rebalance the face a little. I think once I start adding like some more of like the pinks and blues and other undertones, I think that'll kind of help it a bit. So next is where I'm imagining him wearing blue. I think that just because he's got a browner undertone to his skin, and even though it's pale, it's like got a browner, earthier undertone and then brown hair. I think like a blue would just contrast it quite nicely. Something like that. We can work with this. Ooh, probably helped if I alpha-locked it. There we are. My beautiful boy, arise. And then yeah, okay, this is, he's starting to feel more like a person. Right. Then let's get started on these eyes. Notice that it's maybe just a little off here, so I'm just gonna, there we go. Just tucking it in a little more. And what I also sometimes do is just reduce it down at the bottom anyway. And then just let the colouring work I do kind of speak for itself. It's amazing how much like just adjusting a very small bit of the pupil can really change how it looks. Which is why if it's like a focal point, I put them on 2 separate layers so that I can like very gently nudge them around. Case in point. You see what I mean? Like, it can make such a huge difference. And then... yeah, that's feeling pretty good. Just gonna have a sip of my tea real quick. Brilliant. Okay. Now what I'm thinking here is I just want to kind of quite lazily introduce some dynamism to this. So just kind of painting it dark at the bottom. And then just reducing the opacity on that. You know what I mean? Just so it adds like a little something. It's subtle, but I feel like it just adds a little more dynamism to it. And then... kind of going for like a... get like a different color on the sleeves or something. Once again, subtle stuff, but I feel like it just adds a little something. Yeah, that definitely feels like it's a bit more... I don't know what it's a bit more of, but it's a bit more something. And then little silver buttons. Maybe a silver collar. Grey at the very least. See, now I'm in my happy place. Now I get to do some colouring. Forget about it. Maybe they wouldn't have... I don't know if they'd have like actual silver on the non-buttons. Maybe those will just be like a grey trim. And then actual like... maybe not silver but certainly a silvery metal. What even is lighting? There we go. There we go. Only took a bajillion attempts. I'm probably not gonna go full rendered on this one, but I definitely want to introduce some like a little bit more depth and definition to the hair. So I'll probably just add some like, I don't know, like dark and light sections. And then once again, just pull the opacity down slightly so it's a little more subtle. But just to give it a little more texture. I feel like maybe the issue is the height of the forehead, and I'm wondering if with the power of coloring I can lower it a little. Okay. This is on a separate coloring layer in case I mess it up. Who knows? I think it's time for a canvas flip if I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. That's how you know it's a canvas flip time. I think a little bit there is good, but it's kind of getting away from the main issue, which is that he probably needs a bit of shading on the skin around these areas. Yippee! I'm feeling a little better about that now. Not the best, but we're not going for the best. Ooh. You almost heard me spill my tea. Right. I'm liking the idea of like introducing some like pinks and stuff though, and also some purples and stuff around the eyes, because he's meant to be a, well, it's not just that he's a bit of a shut-in, he's specifically a bit of a shut-in scholar, you know, so he's a little sleep deprived. He's you know, he's maybe pulled one too many all-nighters. Sorry, there you go. Oh wait, I don't want to do that because this is going to be a modified layer, so I should knock back that shape here. Don't worry, this isn't like the final look, I'm just plotting out where I want these to go. Maybe a little bit of red in there as well. I don't want it to look too bruised, but I do want to imply a certain degree of like mottled. This poor boy needs to go to bed. little highlights. It's weird how fast it feels like it comes together once you start adding little highlights here and there. Knock them back just a little bit. Yeah, that really does make a difference. Huh. Right. I think also see, I'm always funny about adding little white dots to the eyes because I don't know why, but sometimes it can really, sometimes it does nothing and sometimes it really feels like it fundamentally changes the shape of the thing. The eye, I forgot the word for eye there, that's not a good sign, is it? The thing, oh dear. It's one of those days, I see. Well, in the meantime, let's add some reds. And then what I'll probably do is do a little paint over of the line art, if you know what I mean, so like paint on top of it. Maybe some more red down here actually. Oh, like a darker one though. I'm not sure. Tell you what we could do, because I made the mistake of not doing it on a separate layer, which is my own fault. I'm going to take this and now it's like a extra layer. Nice. I did also envision a couple of like freckles and beauty marks for him, but I'm leaving those right up until the last minute because I might accidentally paint over them otherwise. Let me duplicate this and then do a colorized layer and see if we can add some color to this. And then I'm just playing around. I've got zero plans for this. I did see a cool thing online a little while back I kind of wanted to try, which is like where you invert and do a hard mix layer. And see if that helps you add extra layers of color. I don't think it really works on something like this. Yeah, I don't think it really works for this. But I saw like a really cool thing that was doing something like that, and it kind of adds some like interesting blues and pinks and textures in. We'll try it one more time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I see what they're going for, but I don't think it'll work on this one. Unless we, try it, maybe. Like, here. And then reduce the opacity down. Nah. It was worth a go. I'm always up for trying new stuff. Okay, time for my favorite bit. Painting on top of the line art. Let's go. Just to tidy things up a little. Just gonna check the chat while I sip my drink. Hello, lovely peoples. Hi. Reminds me of those deep fried memes. Yes, it does. Me too. Alright, I do enjoy painting on top of the line art. It's very fun. I always find this bit very relaxing because you're just kind of, you know, you can keep the texture in where you need it, but it also means that you can kind of soften it out on areas where it's not really serving its purpose. Add new details, all that good stuff. What's not to love? Do a little canvas flip. I think I might play around with like another little curl here or something. I don't know, it just feels a little off balance. Something like that, maybe. No, because then his brow looks a little too... maybe I just need to pull the brow out a little just because of the angle. There we go. See, that's all it needed. Goodness. It goes to show if you're staring at something for too long, nothing looks right anymore. If you get to that point in your art, you should take a break. Ooh, the shape's gone off a little bit there. Let's bring that back in. It is wild what a few extra little bits can really do for a thing, which is nice. It's reassuring. It means that something's not done until you say it's done. Sometimes I need that reminder. Or you'll like work up this close on it and then forget to check on it and make sure it looks fine from a distance, and then you realize, oh wait, no, it's fine. Actually, I might go back over here and just add some little hair highlights, maybe. Yeah, something like that. And then, yeah, I like that. We're keeping it. I think while I'm down on that layer, I could also maybe do with tidying up his eyebrows just a scooch. Not a ton, they're not like super perfectly manicured, but just enough. And then maybe some lovely. I'm happy with that. What I'll probably do is just keep the eye whites on a separate layer, so then if I am truly unhappy with it, I can always get rid of them. Yeah, I just don't... see, whenever I add them, it just makes the eyes look weird, and maybe it's because I'm not adding them correctly. Oh, yeah, I think that might be it, because I just added some there and they look fine. Oh, well. I did imagine a few freckles on him. I'm not sure where, so we can work that out. I'm kind of putting them everywhere until I see a spot where I'm like, yes, I love that. Also playing around with colour a little bit too. I'm also just thinking about the hair, like, saturation, if that makes sense. So whenever I want to play around with stuff, I just duplicate that part of the layer. Just so I can, like, fiddle-faddle around and not have to worry about it. But I think it looks alright beforehand, so we're going to keep it. It's just a nice chance to play around without having to worry. I think he's getting there, folks. Maybe a little bit of shading on the jacket. I've got the word for jacket. It's been a day. Yeah, something like that. It's really subtle, but I feel like those sorts of subtle things, even if you don't like consciously notice them, I think they do add something. Maybe not on these bits, maybe just on there. Ooh. Yeah, you see, it just adds like a little something. Do I want to add a rim light? That's the real question. We're asking only the realist questions here. Like, do I want to add a rim light? And I think in my heart of hearts, I know the answer's in theory yes, but will I pull it off given that I'm running on very little sleep? That's what we're going to find out. We're going to go on that magical journey together. Nah, I think I'm just going over the top at this point. But it's because I'm enjoying it. He's looking alright. I mean, his face is, like, not that the character has to be perfect, but, like, I mean, just from, like, an objective point of view, I could probably go back and balance it up a little. Excuse me, but I'm pretty pleased with it so far. We've got our little protagonist, he finally has a face. I think, given that this is kind of what I set out to do, we might leave it there. I don't want to overwork it. So this feels like a good place to leave off. Well, thank you so much. It's been a real delight to be kind of back again, and it was nice to have kind of had an image of Wynn in my head for a while, and this is more or less what I was picturing, so it's nice to put a face to the name a little bit, and hopefully nice for you guys as well. But yeah, I've had a real delight drawing him and kind of bringing him to life, and thank you for the lad, says Random Gamer. Yeah, there's the lad, our massive social anxiety nerd who is completely unprepared for his journey. But you know, hopefully get to tell more of that story. I also, like I said before, really want to draw Yosef, who was introduced in the chapter I posted today, just because he's one of the other characters I kind of had in mind as like a core cast member since I was kind of thinking up Wayfarer, so it would be nice to introduce him and kind of once again work on his look a little bit and all of that jazz. But for now, I think we're going to leave it. Alrighty then, says Random Game. It was nice catching the last portion of the stream. Yeah, it's thank you so much for catching it. I will see all of you soon. But in the meantime, please do take care. Alright, lots of love. Bye.